Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the News Behind the News with Ralph Cantav on Mix 94.7 FM. And I hope that you guys had a great weekend, and thank you so much for tuning in to today's program. This afternoon, I have here with me Miss May-ling Chun, the Director of the St Maarten Tourist Bureau. Good afternoon to you, and thanks for being on the program.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning, listeners, and thank you for having me.
Okay, I'm going to have you say good afternoon, because the program airs in the afternoon.
Oh, that's right.
I'll just edit this part.
You edit? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Ralph. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, listeners and viewers. And thanks, Ralph, for having me.
Great. So I'm glad to have you because, being head of Tourism Bureau means that you have a very important job in terms of executing tourism policy of St Maarten, marketing the island, and so forth. So my first question to you is, one of the things I read online is that you speak 4 languages.
Yes.
And you have quite a career working in the hospitality industry from very young. Yeah. You've been part of different hospitality organizations and major companies. So I'm curious about what have you realized, as the necessary steps to take our tourism product to another level? And also, what has been the key to our success in your review?
Okay. Good question, which is multiple ways I can answer, but I'll touch a little bit of everything. First of all, I think it's what I've learned throughout all these years, it's an ever-evolving industry, okay? Tourism exists already for decades, and visiting other destinations is something that people have been doing for a long time. But as the world changes, as consumer behavior changes, as time changes, tourism also changes. And it all depends on how a destination or an attraction, positions themselves. So what I learned from this is you're always learning. It's always an educational journey. And, I see it as a book that has different chapters. And I discovered that for us also as St. Maarten, our success has always been, I think also the people. And we are also ever evolving. But I believe also because of the people and the people that come here and how the composition is that we are not that one, we're not that one destination with one theme saying, oh, you're going to St. Maarten because the beaches are so great. No, we have so many attributes, and because of our uniqueness, the one uniqueness we have that others can't say they have is that we are 2 countries in one, right? But we're very multicultural with not real borders, but symbolic borders, and there's a whole history behind it. And I think that is what makes us also successful. The product that we have makes us successful, but there's more growth. There's more work to be done.
Definitely.
And I feel that is where we now have to concentrate on to decide, what are we going to do with the education part of it? What are we going to do to get more people into tourism? And at this time of my career, I feel I want to also concentrate a lot more on encouraging the youth and others to say, hey, you can have a great career in tourism.
Yeah. So what you said definitely goes into my next question about education. But before I ask that, I guess one of the things I would like to ask too is I'm curious about, with all the years that you have, what is the main thing that sticks with you to this day?
A discipline. I think it's the discipline you learn in tourism, which is it's very much about time management. It's about people skills. And that does not matter whether you're a busboy or a waitress, because I started there.
Yeah.
To being a director of tourism or a general manager of a hotel. I think what sticks to me is that you have to be disciplined and at all times be able to be a problem solver. And of course, providing the best service you can.
Yeah. So I took a look at your website. That was some time back during your political run.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I made a website.
Yeah,
that's
and
correct.
In that you have written, education and tourism must complement each other if we want to survive and let our tourism product flourish.
Yep.
So what's being done to make this a reality, and what do we need to do to finally realize that for St. Maarten?
I'm glad you mentioned that and bring that up because I feel we have an opportunity here to really bridge our educational, especially in tourism, with our people. So we need to start young. First of all, we have to start in the primary schools already, learning about how important tourism is. And so the little bit that we are doing right now is through the Tourism Bureau by sending out our staff and organizing for people in the community to go speak to children about tourism and how important that is. But it goes beyond that because, as you notice, most of the service positions too are usually bartenders, housekeepers, housemen, and it's more of the lower level skilled positions where I feel we can invest in education on a secondary level as well as a tertiary level. That's what I mean, actually, where we start having curriculums in our universities specifically for tourism, but really concentrate on that in order for us to get more of managers, directors. There's many fields in tourism, and I think we need to, if we are deciding that tourism is our main source of income, which it will continue to be, we need to invest in education when it comes to tourism, have university level courses. Most of our kids have to go abroad. I myself had to go abroad and then came back. So I feel that that needs to be done at all levels. So from
a homegrown approach.
Yeah, homegrown approach. Invest in your community, invest in your youth. But also you need to make it interesting for them because I think there is an awareness that has to be created amongst all of us that have a responsibility, including me and my colleagues and everybody that are, our stakeholders, that we teach our youth and let them see what it means. You don't have to be necessarily only, a housekeeper. A housekeeper can start there, but you can become a general manager. You can become a food and beverage, or let's step away from hotel. You can go in the tourism sector, like we are, and have a good position in the marketing and destination, or in economics. Yeah. We need people in economics that are tourism oriented because if tourism is part of your economy, we need policies written. That's why you have places like organizations like United Nations World Tourism Organization. Those are policy makers. So it's at all levels. I believe we need to promote it more and educate our community more about how important it is actually and what kind of successful career you can have in it.
Yeah, I like what you said because it goes back to something I've often repeated on a program as far as allowing our children specifically, but our people to evolve. Because it's too often that they're geared towards the lower level of the service scale, but not seeing themselves being projected towards management level, leadership level, and so even the education skills that they get. For example, you mentioned like problem solving. That is essential in any hospitality field because even if you're a waiter, you got to be able to know how to solve a problem because people are especially here we deal with people from different backgrounds, different worldviews and so forth,
different cultures.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I feel also, if I may, even at that level, there has to be a certain amount of training.
Definitely.
Whereby because you have to do that, you have to perform that skill to the best of your ability. Yeah. And there has to be pride in that. Yeah. So it's very important that those positions are well trained as well. And you have to enjoy it.
Yeah, because it empowers a person, perform that task.
That's right.
So considering what you said as well, does the STB have any current relationship with NEPA or USM?
Not necessarily. We have communications open that we will accept interns, when it's available, that we do internships. We had one time from the from USM, University of St Maarten, we had a hospitality student that ran an internship by us. But not that we are necessarily communicating, have an agreement or anything, but we're always open to internship, or if there is, let's say, a career day that has to be organized, St. Maarten Tourism Bureau is always part of that. What we do from our end is we try to go in all the schools to educate them on tourism. That is one thing that we try to do every year. Of course, you need more manpower because usually it's only assigned to one person. So that person, what they normally do is get many known people in our industry and the stakeholders to basically go and speak to the children in school and in class. But I feel that to answer your question, is there an opportunity there? Yes, there's always an opportunity there. But with that comes also you need more people to be able to execute those projects then.
Gotcha.
So, and that's a little bit of a challenge right now. So, because you were trying to do so many different things, especially trying to get St. Maarten back on the map. And we've been busy with that and it's been quite well. But at the same time, you need to work on the foundation. So, but yeah.
Okay, yeah, because in addition to that, too, it comes with manpower, it comes finances.
Yes.
So, on average, what is your budget like for the bureau?
Well, what happens now is that actually our budget got increased.
Okay.
Yeah, our budget has been increased by almost double, which is good. It gives us
I know that has been a lot of a complaint for quite a while.
Yes.
The minimal budgeted amount for the tourism bureau.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
For a destination where tourism is so important and compared to other islands, we're very minimal in our budget. But we have to also look positive. We're taking steps. We're in a difficult time. It's not like liquidity is there, for grabs. So we have to also be realistic. But I think at least doubling our budget is a tremendous step. And I think what we are doing with that also is preparing to have quite some activities out there for marketing, promoting the island, getting the word out there. We already saw the results from previous year. 2019, we were on an upward.
Yeah, and then unfortunately.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we were doing it with the original budget.
Yeah.
But what we're doing now is increasing it as we go along. Hopefully we'll get to a level in the next 4 years to be at a level which is going to be, at least where we can substantiate it and keep it sustainable. But we work with what we have, and you know what you learn from that? Also, the positive side is you learn to stretch your dollars.
Yeah, because I was going to say, I'm pretty sure that has, in a sense, forced you guys to be creative. Yes. So I'm curious about how have you applied that creativity? So in what ways exactly, would you stretch those dollars? Yeah,
so what we've done, of course, is the digital marketing takes you very far. Mm-hmm. Being now online, having digital marketing, what we decided, and I'll take a step back, when in 2020 we had to lock down, what we had to do with the whole team is decide, okay, when we reopen, first of all, monitor what was going on and how are we going to reopen. And when we reopen, what are our opportunities actually? What are our strengths? Mm-hmm. And to see what are our weaknesses, of course, and then decide what we need to improve on and the opportunities that are up for grabs for us to present the destination in showing more, of the other attributes than normally the sun, sand, and beach. So what we've done is we went extensively through an exercise of, okay, what are all the beauties that St. Maarten has? And I'm glad one of the things was that, of course, we said, okay, we've been talking about it, which was culture and heritage. Let's dig deeper on what St. Maarten has to offer. What besides the sun, sand, and beach do we offer? We have culture. Culinary is our number one. We are the culinary capital of the Caribbean. What else do we have? And we looked at, the attributes of eco. There is more eco. We're not, of course, like a Dominica or St. Lucia that has these different...
vast green.
Vast green. But we have ecotourism, hiking. We have, the sports, the biking. So what we decided was to get all of this on paper and decide, okay, how we're going to move that forward together with the culture, with the heritage, the history. So work very closely with Clara on things that we want to, new content in order for us to put St. Maarten forward in a different eye. And it's been so far good. Because we highlighting, of course, during the lockdown, we had all the murals were developed. So you gave a whole other side of Philsburg by starting to improve with the murals, which now we just completed phase 3. So you have the mural walks. So we made sure that that was highlighted. We make sure that culture and culinary came together. What are some of our traditional, dishes, but also people coming from different ethnic background that made St. Maarten their home, how that all intertwine and syncs with, our culinary. And I'll tell you, the first thing that recovers always here is culinary restaurants.
Yeah.
And we are still the culinary capital of the Caribbean between the Dutch and the French side. So I feel we had that opportunity. We had the opportunity to see also a more luxury side of St. Maarten, which we weren't highlighting enough. And because, of course, with all the new properties after Irma, people reinventing, home sharing becoming much bigger, we saw this whole new trend as well. And what we decided to do with the marketing team was that when we reopen again, you need to start with the consumers first. Because as you know, you have consumers and you have your trade. Your trade are your tour operators, your travel agents. They sell to the consumer. But we realized the way to stretch our dollars was digital. So that means directly to the consumer. Entice them. So you inform them, you entice them, and then you inspire them to travel. And that was the three methods, the three I's that we used, which was inform, entice, and well, actually, it's E. E-I-E. And indulge them, inspire them.
Yes,
that was the word I was looking for. Inspire them to travel. And that's what we did. And what we saw was a very good effect because when you just hired your PR firms, who have to do all the public relations and marketing communication, you just hired your digital marketing company that now has to distribute out there. And the nice thing about it is it's trackable, it's traceable. How are your results? What is your reach? And we saw how we actually stretched our dollars with the minimum budget that we had.
And then, sorry to cut you off there, and they get back to you with the metrics and as far as the reach and...
They tell us. So we discovered how, Atlanta metro area became big for us, the Houston area.
That makes sense.
And all of a sudden we saw that California was like number 2 or number 3 because Florida, New York will always stay our number 1 market. We saw the increase as well. That means people returning. But we saw also new tourists. And not to finish my sentence, actually, Florida. Florida became bigger for us because it's all about proximity now. You're slowly opening. And here you are. You have this proximity is the number 1 thing for consumers. How fast can I get to my destination to go on vacation? So I think the Caribbean close to the North America market, of course, that is the first market that opens up for you with greater results.
Yeah.
And that is what happened with us as well. The Caribbean was slower, even though Caribbean is very important to us. And now this year, we're going to concentrate on the Caribbean. But what we saw with this is that these new states were coming in, and now it was no longer only about the timeshare owners of 55, 65 every year coming. Here you are now year-round where you see it picking up with 24 to 44.
Yeah.
New consumers, people really interesting to come here to explore, rent a car, go around the island.
Yeah.
And that's what we saw happening.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I want to dig deeper into several stuff you said. So just jot down some notes.
Sure.
But for example, even what you share about Florida, Atlanta, Texas, California, it makes a lot of sense because one of the things I do often is I will look at the XXM hashtag on Instagram.
Yes.
And go to and look at the recent posts, and and I realize that we have had a lot, and I mean a lot of influencers and travel bloggers who come to St. Maarten.
I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah, and I noticed it because and I was like, okay, that's actually very cool. And even the same with TikTok. TikTok and Instagram really. The other socials not so much. So with that even, and I guess where we led off with education, the one thing I'm curious about there though is as far as what effort is being made to really take it, take the ideas into reality. So unfortunately, not to dwell on it too much, we've had X amount of Minister of TATs and education. And I say that because, hotel school is something that has always been in the talks.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if right now, as during your tenure as director, if this has been something that has been proposed, and if, in what way are you guys contributing to discussions of realizing it, which is why I also touched on the NEPA USM.
We haven't discussed it because, quite honestly, we're still in the stage of let's get our market share, a piece of the pie back. Make sure St. Maarten is in the top 5 destination, if not the destination that everybody wants to go to. So we haven't discussed yet from a more sustainable level the education possibilities of, yes, having a real full-time hotel program, or actually I shouldn't call it hotel, hospitality management program. We haven't discussed that yet.
Okay.
Do I hope that happens? Absolutely. I feel that is very important for us to be able to start building a foundation as well, because I feel that's definitely needed. And it's not only hotel and restaurant management, it's hospitality.
Yeah.
So that means tourism development. We need more of that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And with New York, does the St. Maarten still have an office in New York as well?
No.
Okay.
No. Most islands don't have offices anymore in New York.
Because
Times have changed,
exactly.
but we have representation. So we will have sales components. We have a sales rep that runs the tri-state area, but she goes also to other states. We're looking at possibilities by next year, hiring more sales reps down to the mid-Atlantic area to southeast. I feel now if the numbers keep doing what they're doing now, it would be good to have a sales rep also. Your West Coast, Midwest, that's always good to have. But slowly but surely, we're adding on more Salesforce. At this moment, even Salesforce has become very innovative. So a lot is digital. A lot we do from our office. Of course, it taught us to do webinars, do us presentations, and you reach so many people. So when we don't travel, for example, to Europe, we do a webinar for German-speaking countries, and you'll have 300 people on, which are more from the trade side, whereby you get agents and tour operators. So that's an example. But
Gotcha.
we do those still because traveling is still not on our number one list. We try to go to important ones, but right now, even the big shows, the big conferences, they still are digital. So, that's where we are right now when it comes to that. But I feel that there is the potential there for us to, definitely dive into and start making a program to say, okay, a plan of when do we want this in? Because years go by fast. I
That's true.
myself are in 27 years working for the St. Maarten product. And I think if we start putting down a sustainable plan on how we're going to build on the education part of it, bridge that, entice people to study these things. We can do them here. We will get a lot more interest also and support in the tourism development aspects of the country.
Yeah. So one of the things you shared is, it's understood that, we are still catching ourselves, post the lockdown and whatnot. And you also mentioned that, we will start reaching out to the Caribbean market.
Yes.
But has there ever been any, whether attempt or exploration into Asian or even the Middle East, or I guess would it just be to budget constraints that it's never been?
It's because of budget strains. Those are potential markets. As we know, Middle East has been an emerging market actually a couple of years ago already that started traveling a lot and people saw the difference. Asia is very important
Asians
too.
Especially,
Yeah, we saw before the pandemic in 2019, we saw more and more Asians traveling in groups. And when you speak to them, they actually, when they come this far, they're coming for many weeks because they are going to do the whole Caribbean. So they'll be here a week, they'll go to St. Kitts, they will work from island to island in order for them to explore the Caribbean. So we definitely have a potential there, I feel, and it's something that we can look into eventually, but it has not really been part of the plan now because, it's budget constrained, and also you're concentrating on those 5 regions that we still are not finished developing. You have to develop them in such a way that once they're running
They're stable,
and more budget comes on, online,
Yeah.
then you can say, okay, let's explore maybe via digital marketing, which is easiest. You stretch your dollars that you say, yes, let's start working also on Asia and other places. It's quite interesting that if you look, you have that small percentage that is Asian. They come on their own, and that's usually consumer direct from digital marketing. But as far as right now investing in it, no, that's not in the plan yet.
Okay. And Latin America is still...
Latin America is still part of one of the regions. So we have, of course, North America, Europe, Latin America, the Caribbean. And so Latin America this year, we will make sure, because Copa will be returning. We just had talks with them. They will be returning in the summer with 3 flights. But we are going to put a good campaign behind it in order for us to see that become also sustainable again, regular. They also see a shift of a lot of consumer direct, whereby Latin America was always very much tour operator oriented. But they see also more of consumers direct booking. So that means people that are on their smartphone, they're on Expedia, they're on. So we will be concentrating this year also on South America again.
Okay.
And Caribbean is very important for us this year. We are going to concentrate because we see that is up and coming again. The reason we stopped, of course, for 2 years is because what was going on of 2020. We're now in 2022.
Yeah, correct.
So, but we see the necessity because the Caribbean loves St. Maarten. Trinidad loves us, BVIs, every island always comes here. So we feel we need to bring that back. So we will work closely with Winair, but also with our stakeholders in order for us to have some creative, innovative ways, again, also through digital marketing, but at the same time, in the Caribbean, people still go to an agent. So you have to entice the travel agents again to start selling you.
Gotcha.
But 2022 will definitely concentrate on the Caribbean market, especially with all the special events we have.
Yeah, I was going to
Carnival
say we have
coming up.
quite a bit of
Yes.
events too that would...
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yep.
okay. And what would you say, would you say that St. Maarten has a defined target audience where tourism is concerned? Or kind of a... just a mixture, a mass?
I think it's a mixture. You would have to break down in percentage. Because of timeshare always has been big. Timeshare is a large percentage of it. But I feel I'm curious to see now, after this year, after we've changed the approach also more from business to consumer and not only business to business, to see that percentage shifting in the target group. Definitely more Black Americans, and affluent professionals. We saw a large increase in that.
Yeah, especially in a lot of service groups, so fraternities, sororities, and even business groups. Again, I noticed that on Instagram, you have a lot of groups of African Americans who travel and spend a lot of money on St. Maarten.
Yeah, and we saw that, and we realized that too, and the PR firms realized it, and so we also try to concentrate on those areas. You see it with even in the villa. We have this campaign we're running with Villa Vibes campaign, so more people, really professionals, young professionals that want to come here and enjoy themselves for 2-3 weeks or longer. We've seen a shift in, of course, people working remotely. So the working remotely,
that's also
working remotely, and as we all call it, digital nomad is something that, of course, became a craze, especially after the lockdown. Countries such as Barbados and started highlighting it and promoting it. St. Maarten actually had that kind of already, even before the pandemic. People were coming here for 6 months at a time and work from here. But it of course increased tremendously after after the pandemic, and we reopened. A lot of people would come here for several months and work from here, and then go back. Or sometimes they come only for the weekend and they want to take a break, but they're sitting with their laptops on the beach, and we experience that a lot. So, but there is definitely a shift in the type of consumer that's coming. But I believe for the better, because it's a higher disposable income. We have yet seen hotels discounting. which we used to discount heavily. We don't do that anymore. And talking to our largest online tour operator, which is Expedia, they're very happy what they're seeing with the numbers of people coming. Because the type of people that are coming are very much, like I said again, corporate. They like to spend money on food and going out and making experiences. They go hiking, they go on trips. It's all about the wellness, which is another topic, of course, this year we're going to concentrate some more on.
Yeah, mental health breaks and stuff. That's definitely important.
Make yourself feel good.
Because a next thing that came to mind too is, have we ever reached out to target American universities, especially spring breakers in particular?
We have not actually. We have not, because usually with the spring breakers we were too expensive. So they usually go to Mexico, or they go to Florida. But in the Caribbean, they will do the islands that are more like DR. They have all-inclusive. It's less expensive. So we haven't really done the spring breaking because we were just not that destination.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, you're not for everyone, right?
Yeah, you can be for everyone. And the ones that want to come because they have the money, they will do so. Yeah. They will do so. So it's important that that we make sure the word is out there. And as you notice, we have so many influencers, and that is also because we started deciding on, let's concentrate on valuable influencers that we know have a good following. If we sometimes have to host them, let's host them. That means that we then pay for them to stay here. And usually the hotel they get for free because they barter, they expose the hotel. And we've seen the positive effect of hosting influencers. And that's why you see so many of them coming. And you see it on Instagram, you see it on TikTok has given us a lot of exposure lately.
You definitely can't go wrong with TikTok at all.
No, exactly. And I got to learn more about that. But my staff and the marketing team, and they've been monitoring that. And, but no, definitely we see the positive effect of it. And one of the things we've done too is work with local content creators. And we're actually waiting to kick off this year to work more and more with content creators. So our people here that are influencers, our people here that write, that make videos, that do photography, we do that already on an individual basis, but we want to make it whereby we constantly using them, because it's an ever evolving, and now more than ever with digital. So it's important you involve your local content creators, which is definitely the objective of 2022, to go heavily into that.
Okay.
See more videos.
Yeah, definitely.
See more animation, and by using our local professionals for that.
So you definitely touched on one of my next questions. So we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. You're tuned into the News Behind the News with Ralph Kintav on Mix 94.7 FM, and I'm joined with the director of the St Maarten Tourist Bureau, the STB, and that is Miss May-ling Chun. So, like I said, I had a question for you actually about getting more of our local content creators and stuff. Partly because I'm curious about how we pitch St Maarten, like what is the story we tell. And I say that because sometimes when you look at some of the different pages that like on Instagram that showcase St Maarten, like yes, they are great pictures and stuff, but it doesn't necessarily tell a story. Like what makes St Maarten unique? Nice landscape of the beaches and some food and stuff, but I think what brings it to life is when you include your people, because
that's right.
Oftentimes persons would often speak of the lack of St Maarten identity being represented in the marketing and stuff. So I think definitely by including the videographers, photographers, persons who write, who do skits and all of that, it tells St Maarten's story, because you're giving them that cultural element, the real feel of the people who make St Maarten special and make it what it is.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, and we also agree with that. So that is the reason why also we started since 2020 to decide if when we're going to start marketing and repositioning St Maarten again, it's going to be that deeper. I call it deeper. That's the word I always use. You dig deeper into what St Maarten is all about. So the storytelling you can't do without the people.
Correct.
And the people is what you have to highlight. So every time it's a different person. So we kicked off immediately also with this whole cultural aspect of that actually Clara assisted us to write, whereby you touch on everything. And that's, of course, there's so many stories to tell. So we're going to have for quite a while quite some stories to highlight because it's from
we have a lot of
we
talent.
have a lot of talent,
Yeah.
and it's from a lot of art, but also in other areas. I feel we have a lot of talent that we can incorporate into what makes St. Maarten so unique. What makes St. Maarten the friendly island? What makes St. Maarten for people to come back here, end up investing or coming back every year?
Or to make their living.
To make their living. And I feel that it has to do with the people as well. So it's also everyday life. It's the detail of, who maybe the person is that grows, the different herbs, the herbalist. Or, you go to Ruby Butte to know all about the stories and the poems. Or right here in town with all our artists. What's the gentleman's name? I apologize for that. From Axum Cafe.
Mozero?
Yes. But also our artists such as Nicole, who's in the States but does so much, to Jonathan now, creating this amazing Atlantis rebirth, which is something, and I'm just highlighting a few things, but I think it's all about the different stories you can talk about. What makes us, why do you want to experience it here?
Yeah.
It is cosmopolitan, but it's also at the same time very cultural. What are some of our traditions? What we do on Saturday morning? We eat different. It's a Caribbean breakfast. So we try to highlight Caribbean breakfast. We try to highlight also, and we were talking about it, highlight more of our Simpson Bay market. Go and pick up fish at 7 a.m. Every time you start a conversation with a tourist and tell them how they can go get fresh fish, they actually literally go and do that. So if you know that people do that and they come back to you and they say, oh, we did it, that was wonderful, and blah, blah, blah. I think that these are the things that we need to look at, of what can we highlight, what makes St. Maarten.
Yeah, and it also assists in diversifying the range of experiences that people get.
Yes.
Because then, and not that it's bad, but it goes beyond just doing an island tour or being in a bus and being driven around. You're immersed in in the island in that sense. Even what you said, I gotta give a plug to Millie, which is a podcast myself I'm part of, but also with Jonathan, with Carla Vlon and Steffi Gums, which we actually do that.
Oh, nice.
With our podcast.
Yes.
Where we break down St. Maarten history and stuff, which also contributes to, telling our St. Maarten story and the like. So I think another great thing is indeed, you have a lot of efforts in the cultural space in St. Maarten, and then a lot of cooperation too, which makes it all the more great.
It does. And, it's so funny because I follow Facebook because of, not for my personal reason, but of course, being a person responsible for tourism.
Be in touch of.
And when you say we're going to dig deeper into what makes St. Maarten, you look at everyday things like what people are posting, but also, so one of the things I see now and I follow is this group with a lot of people I know. They go hiking every Saturday. I don't know if you see it.
Yeah.
They've been going to some amazing places that I have it on my to-do list to talk to my staff about, is how can we incorporate something with the journalists coming? I mean, think of it. If we talk about adventure, which we have more and more writers want to come to St. Maarten to see the adventure side of things, why not have them experience to go with this group of local people?
Yeah.
Everyday life.
Who better for you to learn from?
And better to learn from.
Yeah.
And on places I have not been.
Yeah.
And I see these beautiful pictures, or where Denisha walks, through St. Peter's, or he goes then to his, Spaceless Garden. He brings tours. So I think these are the type of things we need to bring out, and that's our plan as well. But there's so much of it that I think you're going to see for this year, more and more stories coming out on what St. Maarten is really about.
Yeah.
You'll see it in our website too, Vacation St. Maarten. We are now in the phase where we basically revamped it. So you'll see the content there. There's a lot of information. We made it interactive. We made it also where if there is a particular page you like, you can share it off the website immediately. It has a corner where it has share. We have a cultural page to it with history and everything, and we're still adding on more pages. So I think with this, we have a lot of different people and organizations we can involve in order to have that better connection, with the outsiders that say, hey, I want to come.
Yeah.
Because this is interesting.
Yeah.
Whether you're an adventurer or you're somebody who wants to come just totally to relax.
Yeah. Because another thing that comes to mind too with that is the same pitch that we give to the world, which is, 2 nations, 1 island. So in that sense as well, what is a cooperation like that you have with the French side? And what approaches do you take when it comes to joint marketing for the island? Mm-hmm. What goes into that?
Yeah, well, the French side and Dutch side have always worked together. We had actually in 2018 had signed an MOU, which is indefinite, to work together on various aspects. Tourism first is the first thing, but hopefully see it branch out into other areas of development as well. But when it comes to the 2 tourist offices and the tourism product, you're always, even when you're not doing it jointly, funding it jointly, you're still showcasing both sides of the island. Our goal was we were actually busy and on our way to do a lot of the different activities together when the pandemic hit in 2020. And basically, you kind of grew apart. But we now have reinstated, we had meetings whereby we want to look at the year and next year's activities to see what can we do together and what don't, because not everything fits. They have a certain concept, and of course, they work under different policies and so on than we are. But we see that there's quite a few activities we can just do together again. We're trying to also reinstate back the quarterly meetings. And one of the things we agreed on is that culinary is the theme for this year. So we're going to come out soon with that, whereby we can announce about how culinary will be the theme, but also establish a month in the year that is all about culinary for both sides of the island. Mm-hmm. There's a couple of other promotions, such as Expedia, the online booking agents that we do together. Mm-hmm. If there are shows, trade shows or conferences, we try to do those together. Jointly. Mm-hmm. So it's picking back up for sure. And it's a given. You have to. You have to do it together because it does not make sense to not. Now, is it challenging? Absolutely. But I think both sides, and Ida and I, Ida is my counterpart on the French side, I think we are very transparent and honest to each other that we know when things can work, they can work. And when it doesn't work, we say, hey, it doesn't work for this reason. But, you still at the end of the day promote the destination as one.
Let me ask it like this. Will we be having any, as you mentioned, culinary, any culinary event?
That's the plan.
Okay.
Yeah, we will announce that probably this month.
Okay.
But
okay, good to know.
Yeah, we will have, we're working for November. That's the month. Then we decided, well, if we're going to have 1 or 2 culinary events, we might as well make the whole month and just make it the month that has to be something that people start recognizing, knowing that if they travel in November, they will have a variety of
exactly for that reason, just as we have huge, the music festivals and stuff.
Exactly.
If we recognize that one of the underlying facts is culinary, is one of the main markets of St Maarten, then people should know to maybe at that specific time come to St Maarten for this huge, major, or interesting, diverse culinary feature as well.
Absolutely. And we realized that when we were doing, it's not even reinventing the wheel, because when we were concentrating a lot in culinary a couple of years ago, you see where also you're put on the map. And now more than ever, it's all about feeling good about yourself, right? But also wellness. Food is part of it. So people are traveling for food. People are traveling to know about the culture and the culinary. And I think what better place than here, where you have the Dutch, the French, the French influence of culinary, which they have the festival they did for the first time last year in November. They're going to do it this year again, but we're doing it also. But then we have Fête de la Cuisine That's returning this year. Dates are not set yet, but usually it's the first week of November. So then we said if you have that, then you might as well have the whole month be a culinary aspect of a side of St. Maarten to showcase, including the local, amazing places that we promote all the time, which is the food stations everywhere along the road. Do competitions on great cook-offs, and I think, and that's our strength.
Yeah, because you kill two birds with one stone in the sense of you also engage your local population.
Absolutely.
Because that's definitely one of the main highlights of COVID, and usually after a hurricane, it's like, hey, all you have right now is your local population, and then we are also interested in homegrown tourism, where people do staycations. They go bar hopping, they do experiences that are offered primarily to tourists, but also where the culinary side is concerned too.
Yeah, and we have that actually, that picked up a lot in after we opened again. One of the things we did was staycations. And
the Rediscover St Maarten.
Yes.
Campaign.
And at the same time, we noticed also, of course, more and more people are going out for dinner. They're going out. But also, what has the pandemic done? All these chefs we have created now, because you're home, so you're experimenting with cooking, you're with family, so we see a lot of showcasing of people eating differently, of it's not always it can be healthy way of changing your life or how to eat, so all that experience you see now. So competition on what we call home chefs, or that's another key thing nowadays. It's very trendy.
That's a good point.
It's something that involves then your local community. We have more private chefs, I think, than ever in demand, because a lot of people, what the pandemic created too was, I'm going to rent a place whereby I'll have a chef come in and cook for us. And we all, and to enjoy it that way. A couple of times going out for dinner, but also having a chef come
that home cook experience. Yeah,
and especially local food too.
Exactly.
They want to know about local food.
Yeah, because, for example, it would suck to, for example, live in Paris all your life and come home and come to an island and only eat French food, you know what I mean? You get to have the taste of the nation, basically.
You have to have a little bit of everything.
For sure. Mm-hmm. One of the things that has always been expressed, even as we discuss a different range of topics in tourism, is overall, a tourism master plan, something that falls in line with our economic vision and the like. I understand that, for one, a lot of things that we can do, you can't do right away, but it doesn't mean that we can't do it eventually. Yeah. So when it comes to diversifying even our tourism product and having a tourism master plan, is this something that has been finally put in the works, where we can say, okay, we're in 2022 now, by the next 10 years, so 2032, these are a projected level of goals that we aim to accomplish, and then move on from there. Yeah. Is anything being done to in not just be in a discussion phase, but to complete and then execute a master plan for tourism?
Yeah, it's a good question, Ralph. It's been actually since 2018. I joined again in 2018, and we've been discussing to revisit the tourism master plan, because the tourism master plan has not been fully executed. If you evaluate it, it was evaluated even, and looking that a lot of things have not been done yet, because we've had, not all the projects were accomplished. So it is time to redo one, to basically revise the tourism master plan. Absolutely. And we need it. We don't have one. I mean, we have to have a national plan as well. But when it comes to tourism, which is a major part of it, I do believe we should have a 10-year plan that after 5 years, you reevaluate it to see if you're on the right track. Have you accomplished what needs to accomplish? Now, a plan is as good as it gets incorporated or accepted by those that have to make the decision to move it forward. True. So you can make all the plans you want, but if it's then not followed, it becomes a waste. It becomes a waste. It becomes and if you look at the plan that was made before and you read it again, you will see there's a lot of things that still need to be done.
When was that? When was
That was from
initiated?
2005 to 2015.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah,
sometime
that was
back.
a 10-year plan. Yeah,
Okay.
it was a good plan. That was at the time they had the big tour map, it was called. My predecessor before that, with the Tourist Bureau, they've put that together. And if you then look at it in these times where after the hurricane it was reevaluated after Irma, you see a lot of it still is going towards that direction. But that's why a plan is as good as it gets implemented and accepted. And I think you need to get, again, all the stakeholders involved and say, yes, you have to, because look how fast the years go by. 10 years go by.
Yep.
And if you don't have a plan, you're only going to be doing ad hoc, what we
Correct.
call ad hoc actions.
Yeah, it's true.
And this is
But
very
you're only following trends, but then trends die out. So you gotta
exactly.
have
What do
a
we want? Where
steady-
do we want to
yeah.
be in 10 years?
Correct.
You know, what do we want to develop? Have a good foundation. We have here opportunities such we always speak about yachting and marina. That's an industry that St. Maarten has captured, I think, in a very good way, and we need to make that sustainable. So what are we doing to do that? What are we doing for airline networking? You know, once this airport is here, you're back to a full-fledged airport. Imagine what all can we do, our port, but also the niche markets, the diversification we talk about. And that diversification, I feel that there is a lot of opportunities there as well. So to answer your question, when it comes to when, we've been so busy just working on getting St. Maarten out there again, but it has to be definitely that either this year or by at least the first quarter of next year, that a public tender goes out to say, hey, we need to redo our master plan.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
for
All
sure.
right, then. So I just have two more questions for you. One of them being, how does the threat of war and the economic shocks of the present struggle in Europe affect our projections? Do you see that it will affect our numbers in any way?
Well, it all
Rising
depends.
costs and, with like in the U.S. with fuel and so forth.
Yeah, what you're going to see is we have to continue monitoring, and obviously, being that we don't make anything ourselves, we're always affected. We're affected already now. We were affected before because we never can get, the containers are issues, shipment is issues. So we already have an, increase in cost has happened in the last 2 years. We're monitoring it, but I do see that this is going to make things more expensive. My projection is that looking at everything, you will see airfares go up. How it's going to affect the different regions, we're monitoring that now because, of course, Europe is one of our bigger markets as well, number 3 market. So we're monitoring to see, because this war, we don't know where it's going.
Yeah.
But you already see the fuel prices. You already see food prices. All of these things are affected, and food prices was already affected because of the pandemic. So we do see that cost has gone up, prices have gone up. But that's why it's so important that your product becomes that product that you're targeting, where price is not always the main reason. People
Yeah,
that want to, they're price driven.
Yeah.
They're more about product driven. What am I getting for the money I pay?
Yeah.
So you have to make sure that you keep up your quality of service. So training and education is very important to continue while you're tackling, because we're not in control of the pricing. We're really not in control. And so you got to make sure that your product and living here becomes, that where it's not affected, but that people still will continue coming. But not only that, cost of living, of course, has to become also better for the people living here. So we need to create jobs also in order for our people to be more sustainable.
Yeah, because I guess finally, that is one of the things that we see that affects our tourism market or product, rather, is customer service.
Yeah.
And SB can't supervise every company or whatever to say, hey, improve your customer service because we need it. But I guess there needs to be a greater effort in working with all the stakeholders to really hammer in that that unity factor. We need to deliver good service. Too often, sometimes us local go through it, but sometimes you would even see, if you're at an establishment, you would see the tourists receive bad treatment along with you.
Yeah.
So, we are in a field that has a lot of competition. So I think one of the underlying things is for sure to have our customer service down pack. Else,
I totally agree.
That would be
with
the hit that we can prevent, that we can influence.
I fully agree with you. And actually, we started that when we reopened with the company that was chosen at the time was TPI, but we did customer service training. We started with the taxis first because we just reopened and they were the first to be with guests again. So we did the customer service /COVID certification training, which went over very well. They were happy. Their morale was boosted. And now we're going to start with the customer service with all the different stakeholders that will come on board. But we feel also the employers need to invest more in training the staff.
Yeah.
Because every detail, the little details together makes the quality of service, the eye contact, the paying attention to your tables, but not only in service, in restaurants or hotel. I'm talking also going to a shop. Going to a retail shop, being on your phone, oh gosh, that's a no-no. Mm-hmm. You can't have your phone there. Things like that. Not paying attention when a customer walks in. Those are things that have to be worked on. And I totally agree that we need to concentrate on that because when you improve that, you'll see also people will continue coming back. We're very blessed in the tourists we receive now or people coming, but also for our own people going out. You see people going out again in the community, enjoying, but everybody's supposed to get good service.
Correct.
No matter if you're coming from abroad or you live here, because at the end of the day, when tourists don't come, it's your local community
that will hold you up.
That will hold you up.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to be even, I always say, extra.
That's right.
Give that extra service.
Correct. Yeah, definitely. Well, I would like to thank you so much, Ms. Chun, for coming. I'll save the remaining questions for another time.
Sure.
And to our viewers and listeners, thank you guys for tuning in as well. Be sure to tune in again tomorrow. Take care.